Let's talk about something that connects billions of us every single day, the telephone. But here's the thing, its origin story isn't at all what you think it is.
No, really, just think about that for a second. What if the one device that totally reshapes society, business, you name it, what if it was never even supposed to exist in the first place?
Because that's the simple, kind of shocking truth. The idea of talking to someone miles away through a wire, it started out as a complete and total accident.
Okay, so let's get into how this happened. To really understand the accident, we first have to understand what the inventor was actually trying to do.
You see, Alexander Graham Bell wasn't thinking about voices at all. He was obsessed with the telegraph. The huge challenge back then was that you could only send one Morse code message at a time. Bell's dream was to build a harmonic telegraph that could send a whole bunch of messages down a single wire all at once.
So one day he's experimenting with his assistant, Thomas Watson, and a part of their machine breaks. But in that moment of failure, Bell heard something totally unexpected. It wasn't a coded click, it was the actual twang of a metal reed. And that was it. The light bulb went off. He realized the wire could carry the complex vibrations of sound itself, not just simple electrical pulses. That one little mistake changed absolutely everything. That little spark of an idea led pretty quickly to the very first phone call. But as it turns out, that call wasn't some planned test. Nope, it was a real emergency.
So picture this. It's March 10th, 1876. Bell's in his workshop, and in a moment that sounds like it's straight out of a movie, he spills burning acid on himself. In a total panic, he does the first thing he can think of. He grabs his new experimental device.
And he shouts, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." In another room, Watson is listening to his receiver, and he hears those words perfectly. History's very first phone call wasn't some grand announcement, it was a desperate, pained cry for help.
Now, you'd think an invention this groundbreaking would be an instant hit, right? Well, not exactly. The world wasn't just skeptical, a lot of people thought it was a joke. When Bell first demonstrated his invention, people literally laughed. They dismissed it as a clever electrical toy. You know, a fun novelty, but with zero practical purpose.
And this thinking went right to the very top. Western Union, which was the communications giant of the day, was offered the patent. Their response? A hard pass. They famously questioned why anyone would ever want to use a device like that, a decision that is now legendary as one of the biggest business blunders in history.
So how did this so-called toy go on to become the backbone of, well, global communication? Well, it happened one connection at a time. And let me tell you, the user experience was very different from what we're used to.
Yeah, using an early phone was a really strange experience. There was no ringtone, no dial, not even any numbers. You just had to shout into the mouthpiece and kinda hope someone was listening. The standard greeting wasn't even hello. A lot of people used the old sailing term, ahoy. It was actually Thomas Edison who later suggested hello, just because it was so clear and easy to hear.
So, if there weren't any dials, how did you call a specific person? You didn't. You called an operator, and an actual person had to physically connect your wire to the person you wanted to talk to.
And the telephone companies figured out pretty fast that women were just perfect for this incredibly demanding job. The belief was that their voices were calmer and clearer, and that they just had more patience and better listening skills for handling those chaotic switchboards. These women were the original human network, literally connecting the world by hand.
And as that network grew, the magic did too. When the first transcontinental call finally happened in 1915, people were just stunned. The idea of hearing a clear voice from all the way across the country was so alien, so unbelievable, that a lot of people described the experience as feeling supernatural.
And that brings us to today, where the legacy of Bell's happy accident has turned into something he never ever could have imagined.
I mean, just look at this comparison. Bell's invention needed physical wires, an army of operators, and entire buildings just to work. It connected two rooms. The device that's in your pocket right now is wireless, has more computing power than the machines that sent astronauts to the moon, and it connects you to satellites in space.
The speed of that change is just staggering. It took almost 40 years to go from one room to coast to coast. In our lifetime, we've gone from that to an instantaneous global wireless network.
And that really is the heart of this story. All of this world-altering technology started from a really simple, unintentional place. The goal was never to create a global network or put a computer in every pocket. The goal, born from a complete accident, was just to carry a single voice across a wire. It's just a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs aren't planned out in some boardroom. They just happen by mistake in a lab. And it leaves you with one final thought. What seemingly small accident happening in a lab or a garage right now will be the thing that completely changes our world next?